Punjab's militancy remains one of the darkest and most painful chapters in the independent India's history. Between the early 1980s and the mid-1990s, the state witnessed an armed insurgency. Large-scale counter-insurgency operations, political assassinations, communal violence, and serious allegations of human rights abuses. Thousands of innocent lives were lost and countless families continue to live with the trauma of that era. More than 3 decades later, public discussions often focus on only one aspect of the conflict. Some highlights the violence carried out by militant organizations, while others focus primarily on excesses committed during the state's counter-insurgency campaign. However, history cannot be understood through a single lens. An accurate account of Punjab's tragedy requires acknowledging every category of victim. Civilians, police personnel, security forces, militants killed in the operation, and all those who suffered due to unlawful actions by the state. Well, let us shed light on the rise of militancy, Punjab's insurgency that emerged during the late 1970s and intensified throughout the 1980s. What initially began as political unrest gradually transformed into an armed separatist movement seeking the operation of an independent Khalistan. The conflict reached its deadliest phase between 1987 and 1992, with 1990 and 1991 witnessing the highest levels of violence, and several militant organizations operated during this period, which includes Khalistan Commando Force (KCF), Baba Khalsa International (BKI), Khalistan Liberation Force, that is KLF, International Sikh Youth Federation (ISYF), and several smaller armed factions. And in order to combat the insurgency, the Punjab Police, assisted by Central Security Forces and intelligence agencies, launched one of India's largest counter-insurgency campaigns. Now, let us shed light on the human cost. No single Ministry of Home Affairs document provides one consolidated official death toll. However, widely cited conflict datasets and historical compiled estimate that the violence claimed between 21,000 and 23,000 lives, and the broadly accepted estimates are approximately 11,700 civilians were killed and around 1,700 to 1,800 police and security personnel were killed. Nearly 8,000 militants were killed and total deaths exceeding 20,000, with most estimates ranging between 21,000 and 23,000. And all these figures reflect the devastating scale of one of India's bloodiest internal security conflicts. So who were these civilian victims? Let us shed light on that. One of the least discussed facts about the Punjab's militancy is that terrorism affected multiple communities. Historical conflict datasets indicate that among civilians killed by militants, more than 7,100 were Sikhs, around 4,500 were Hindus, and the remaining victims belonged to the other communities or were not classified. The violence spared no one. Victims included Sikh civilians, Hindu civilians, migrant laborers, bus passengers, train passengers, farmers, shopkeepers, teachers, journalists, government officials, village sarpanches, religious leaders, ordinary citizens caught in the conflict. And do you know what? Police and security forces paid a heavy price for it. Well, the battle against militancy came at an enormous cost to law enforcement, as more than 1,700 police officers and security personnel lost their lives, and many officers were not killed during encounters but were assassinated while traveling to work, visiting their homes, attending family functions, or even in front of their families. Militant groups also targeted the families of police personnel in an effort in order to weaken morale and intimidate the security establishment. Well, what the Ministry of Home Affairs recorded. The annual report of the Ministry of Home Affairs provided an indication of how intense the conflict had become. As in 1990, the MHA recorded that 2,467 persons were killed in terrorist violence and 493 security personnel were killed, 1,321 terrorists were killed, and 1,759 terrorists were arrested. Meanwhile, in 1991, the following year remained equally violent, as official records noted that 2,030 terrorists were killed, 1,842 terrorists were arrested, and 4 474 security personnel were killed and nearly 1,200 encounters were recorded with militants. And all these figures underline the intensity of both the militant activity and the counter-insurgency operations during the conflict's peak. Now, let us shed light on the major massacre that shook Punjab. Notably, the insurgency witnessed several horrific attacks targeting civilians, which includes Laladu bus massacre, which took place on 6th July 1987. Militants hijacked a Haryana roadway bus and opened fire on passengers, and 38 people, which include women and children, were killed. Ludhiana train massacre, which took place on 15th June 1991. Militants attacked 2 passenger trains and approximately 80 people lost their lives, making it one of the deadliest terrorist attacks during Punjab's insurgency. Soya train massacre, which took place on 26th December 1991. Another passenger train came under militant attack and around 49 passengers were killed. Tilwa bus killing, which took place in the year 1983. Well, in one of the earliest major communal attacks, Hindu passengers were reportedly separated from others before several were executed, and the incident is widely regarded as a turning point in the communalization of the violence. Khudda Husharpur bus massacre, which took place in the year 1986. Militants attacked a passenger bus near Khudda village, killing around 24 civilians. Muktsar bus massacre, which took place in the year 1986, as another bus attack claimed approximately 15 lives, adding to the climate of fear across the state. Village massacres, which also took place in the year 1988, as coordinated militant attacks on villages resulted in the death of around 37 civilians, demonstrating that violence was no longer confined to highways or public transport. Well, let us shed light on the high-profile assassinations, as the insurgency was marked not only by mass killings but also by targeted assassinations of prominent individuals. And among those assassinated were DIG A.S. Adwal, Sant Harchand Singh Longowal, General A.S. Vaidya, Punjab Chief Minister, Beyant Singh, journalist, moderate Akali leaders, Congress politicians, CPI and CPIM workers, village sarpanches, public officials and the community leaders. And all these killings reflected the militant strategy of targeting those viewed as political opponents, state representatives or moderate voices. Now, let us shed light on the counter-insurgency and the human rights concern. As militancy escalated, Punjab Police and Central Security Forces launched aggressive counter-insurgency operations. While these operations were credited with significantly weakening militant organizations, they also became the subject of serious allegations of human rights violations. Human rights group documented accusations of fake encounters, custodial killings, enforced disappearances, illegal detentions, and unlawful cremations. And all these allegations remain a critical part of understanding the conflict. And among all those, Jaswant Singh Khalra remained a symbol of accountability. Well, one of the most prominent figures associated with these allegations was Jaswant Singh Khalra. Khalra investigated reports of alleged illegal cremations and disappearances during Punjab's counter-insurgency. And the following facts are well established, as he investigated allegations concerning illegal cremations and disappearances. He was abducted in 1995, and courts later established that Punjab police officers were responsible for his abduction and murder. His case also became a significant symbol of accountability for human rights violation committed during the counter-insurgency, and his murder remains one of the most significant human rights cases in the modern Indian history. Well, what is still debated about it? Well, while several aspects of the conflict have been established through judicial proceedings and documented investigations, other issues continue to be debated. As established facts include that there is broad agreement that illegal cremations occurred, fake encounters took place, and enforced disappearances occurred. Courts convicted police officers in Jaswant Singh Khalra's murder. Human rights violations were committed during the counter-insurgency, and the matters still under debate. Well, however, important questions remain unresolved, and most notably the exact statewide number of disappearances and Khalra's broader estimate of around 25,000 illegal cremations and disappearances, which has not been conclusively established by a single official statewide inquiry. Different organizations, investigations, and reports have documented varying numbers and geographic scopes, and this distinction is important when discussing the historical record. Well, if we understand the full picture, Punjab's tragedy cannot be understood by remembering the only one category of victims, as the conflict produced multiple groups who suffered immensely. Civilians were killed by militant violence, police and security personnel were killed in line of duty, militants were killed during the counter-insurgency operations, and victims of illegal state actions including fake encounters, unlawful killings, and enforced disappearances. And acknowledging one group does not diminish the suffering of another. And remembering Jaswant Singh Khalra and victim of state excesses does not require ignoring all those killed by militant violence. Likewise, remembering victims of terrorism cannot justify fake encounters, custodial killings, or violations of the rule of law. A complete historical understanding demands recognition of every life lost, regardless of identity or circumstances. Well, Punjab's militancy was one of the most devastating internal conflicts in the independent India's history. It claimed more than 20,000 lives, shattered communities, and left deep emotional and political scars that continue to influence public discourse today. And the conflict cannot be reduced solely to terrorism, nor can it be explained only through the lens of state excesses. Both the realities existed, and innocent civilians were massacred by the militants. Police officers and security personnel sacrificed their lives combating insurgency, and at the same time, documented cases of fake encounters, enforced disappearances, and unlawful killings remind us that the rule of law was also compromised during the conflict. A truthful understanding of Punjab's past requires acknowledging every victim, which includes Sikh, Hindu, police officer, civilian, public servant, journalist, farmer, migrant worker, religious leader, and every individual unlawfully deprived of life. And only by recognizing the full human cost of the conflict, rather than selectively remembering parts of it, can Punjab move towards genuine historical understanding, reconciliation, and lasting peace. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.